Wigman focus for Hela.
But we need to develop tourism.
More local writers emerging. And Toea Wisil breaks national record.
This is National EMTV News with Meriba Tulo.
A very good evening. Thank you for joining us for Sunday's news. It may seem an impossible task, but Hela province, mostly known for its law and order issues and a no-go zone, is trying to make its mark as a tourism destination. Hela Governor Francis Potape says the Hela Wigman is a product that can be used to promote the Hela culture.
The Hula Wigman is a traditional iconic representation of the Hela people. A special feature of the Hela Wigman is the cone-shaped hairstyle locally known as mandatane. To grow this wig, young men are kept in a traditional house as part of an initiation.
And you see, this is how they grow their wig, Hela Wigman. And when we bring in tourists, we're going to promote them, and tourists will come and see how the Hela men grow their wig in a traditional way. So
the young men follow a strict diet and are kept away from family and friends, especially women. Depending on how fast the hair would grow, this isolation can take up to 18 months. The wigs are used nowadays for traditional performances or major customary events in the villages. Early last month, Hela provincial government announced plans to develop its tourism path. It's a mammoth task for Hela, but authorities say collaboration from all sectors is vital to push the tourism agenda forward.
But we need to develop tourism and many other important sectors in this province. So I commend the Heights landowners, the chance of the chiefs to come out in traditional attires to...
The Wigman will be the first product used to promote the Hela culture. However, the PNG Tourism Promotion Authority says Hela is rich in tourism products that needs to be identified.
Hela is some of those products that some other provinces cannot compare with in terms of whitewater rafting, trekking, in terms of the culture, the village stay, so many things. So we just need to work together as a team.
The provincial government is also in dialogue with ExxonMobil for the use of Como Airport as the gateway to the province. Hela is now in its initial stages of establishing a tourism bureau in Tari.
We'll have a permanent bureau manager supported by a skeleton staff.
Jaglapave Junior, National EMTV News.
More and more Papua New Guineans are embracing the liberty of expressing their opinions through their writings. Keith Jackson, who administers a blog writing competition and a voluntary publication company, is excited about the writings of Papua New Guineans that he is seeing.
Keith Jackson is not new to Papua New Guinea. He worked in the highlands of PNG decades ago. While he now lives in Australia, he maintains contact with the country through writing. He says there is something unique about Papua New Guinean writers.
Papua New Guineans are good writers. They really are. Because writers need not to be too self-conscious, to have a passion and emotion for what they do, to be very creative in the way they think. And Papua New Guineans are all of those things.
From a blog called PNG Attitude, Keith has followed the progress of some Papua New Guinean writers who contribute to this blog, who have also published full books.
3 years ago, we published the first book under this voluntary company called Puk Puk Publications. And now, surprisingly, we find that nearly 40 books have been published by Puk Puk Publications, most of them by Papua New Guineans, a few by Australians who worked or lived in Papua New Guinea.
Some of these writers were honoured at the recent launching of the book My Walk to Equality, published by Puk Puk Publishing. It is an anthology of Papua New Guinean women writers who write about contemporary PNG.
Because most of these poems and writings that I contribute to the anthology and to the PNG Attitude blog are based on my personal experiences. So it's just getting it out there because I know that a lot of women can relate to these things, and hoping that, because at the end of every poem that I write, or the moral behind all my stories, is that there is hope.
Sure, well, family planning is something that I take to heart, and it is my passion. I work in an organization which helps many women and men with family planning, and the piece is basically a reflection on how family planning choices change lives. So the more information that a woman has on family planning, she would have the ability to control her fertility and, to further be empowered to complete her studies, have children when she is ready to, and basically support her children throughout.
This is the 40th book published by Puk Puk Publications, and so far it is getting good reviews.
A long overdue publication. Highly commend all of those involved in the groundbreaking Puk Puk publication featuring these writers. It's a must-read Puk Puk publication that explores PNG women's perspective of gender equality through their personal journeys and reflections. And it's not a whinging book at all. The women are not whinging about how downtrodden they are. It's an inspiring book.
Inspiring is what Keith finds about PNG writers and their writing.
It's very sharp, it's very clear, it's very acute, and it's not embarrassed at all. So there are cultural differences, of course, between different peoples, and it seems as though the Melanesian cultures are capable of providing a very good platform for creative writing. That's just a theory, but that'll do me for the moment.
Sarah Aupong, National EMTV News.
The Hela provincial government has paid more than 300,000 kina in school fees for Hela students studying at the University of Technology. Hela Governor Francis Potape and members of the Hela provincial government were in Leh for the funeral service of Sir Manasupe Zurianok and took out time to make the presentation. Martha Lewis with this report.
This morning, Hela Governor Francis Potape led members of the Hela provincial government to meet with Hela students of Unitec to officially hand over the first payment to the students, while the remaining amount will be paid in the coming weeks.
Roughly another 130 or 40,000 kina more, so a total of 530,000 kina will be given to our students there for the education.
The same assistance will also be given to Hela students studying in the other tertiary institutions in the country. UPNG Hela students will be receiving their payment tomorrow.
Hela provincial government will also be funding, will be giving sponsorship to students at the University of Papua New Guinea. Almost 680,000 kina or so will be going there and will be presented the check tomorrow.
Potape says the Hela provincial government has taken this move in investing in the education sector at a time when the province is trying to control lawlessness.
While we are embarking on the call out on one hand, on the other hand, we want to embark on the education of our young men and so forth. So we do not want them to stay back in the villages and fight and so forth. We are now sending all of them to institutions. And
Martha Lewis, National EMTV News, Leh.
It was double achievements for Justin Ale and Jeffrey Ronnie, who graduated today from the Divine Word University in Madang. Mr. Ale and Mr. Ronnie took up PNG Studies and International Relations and were presented the Silver Award for Academic Excellence. Both men graduated with a degree in arts and were recipients of the 2017 Foreign Affairs Award. The awards results from a partnership between the Foreign Affairs Department and Divine Word in building capacity for PNG's foreign service. They were part of the more than 300 students who graduated today. You're with Sunday's news. Coming up, Hela Governor says next phase of call-out operation crucial. Over 300 bench warrants yet to be issued in Kimbe, and we hear from a money market lady who says she helps people with money problems. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. Hela Governor Francis Potape says the second phase of the call-out operation in Hela is crucial. Governor Potape said according to police, high-powered firearms were not surrendered. He says authorities will work together to make sure the second phase of the call-out is successful.
Early last week, all high-powered guns and homemade guns that were surrendered during the amnesty period were destroyed and burnt in Tari by the joint forces to signal the end of the first phase of the call-out operation in Hela. However, Hela Governor says more high-powered guns are still in the possession of warlords and individuals.
The high-powered weapons that they've seen around in various parts of Hela have not come out yet. Either they have been hired and they've been taken back to the neighboring provinces, or maybe they are still hidden in the province. We do not know, but we will get to the bottom of all of this.
This morning, the Hela Governor told EMTV News the second phase of the call-out is now critical to address lawlessness in the province. He says authorities will work together to arrest those whose names have been provided.
We want to eventually make the entire call-out successful. It's successful so far, but the second phase has to be tougher and has to be. It's the one that will really, I guess, the rating of the second phase is the one that matters.
In a recent statement by Prime Minister Peter O'Neill, those who fail to surrender their firearms will face up to more than 10 years in prison.
Caught in possession of an illegal firearm, the recommendations to Parliament for this law is that you will have 10 years imprisonment, hard labor, and that you will be fined 10,000 kina as well. So the penalties are quite harsh, but it is deliberate. We want to get rid of firearms in Papua New Guinea and make our communities safer.
And with more arrests expected to happen in the coming weeks, Governor Potape says the reopening of Howard Jail is also important, with cells at the Tari police station becoming overcrowded.
And it's not fit to hold prisoners. Therefore, the Howard Jail is the best place, and the right people to look after those prisoners are the warders, and they have to be there. So at this time, it's important that the Howard Jail must be open and the officers must be on the ground to hold all those people who will be arrested.
Jack Lapava Jr., National EMTV News.
The National Court in Kimbe still has over 300 outstanding bench warrants. Chief Justice Salamo India says some of these bench warrants are over 30 years old and date back to the 1980s.
Statistics from the Judicial Services reveal that Kimbe has over 3,000 cases. From the 3,000, 200 of them have been dealt with. These outstanding bench warrants are mainly to do with criminal-related cases.
A lot of these cases are, for example, warrants of arrest issued. There's about 300 of those warrants of arrest issued by the National Court in criminal cases where the accused do not turn up.
A bench warrant or warrant of arrest is a court order issued by a magistrate or judge to arrest an accused or defendant because they had failed to appear before the courts. That court order directs police officers to arrest the accused or defendant and to ensure they appear in court. If the accused or defendant is out on bail and a bench warrant is issued, the bail will be forfeited and the accused or defendant will be remanded in custody. But because of the limited police resources and manpower in Kimbe, it becomes a challenge for police to execute the warrants.
And this warrant of arrest go back to, I think, 1987. There's work to be done. Obviously, the police are involved in apprehending those on bench warrant, but this is an example of the backlog of cases that we have. The volume of cases is there. We have now around 1,000 cases yet to be determined.
Salamo encouraged all police and correctional officers in Kimbe, including those in the judicial and magisterial services, to work together in executing the outstanding bench warrants. Tekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
A Catholic church which was built by missionaries almost 80 years ago is still being used by locals today. The church is located in Thalassia Rural LLG in the Thalassia district of West New Britain Province.
Thalassia is one of the 2 districts in West New Britain province. It has an estimated population of over 700,000 people. Most worshippers here either attend the United Church or the Catholic Church. This colonial church building sits on the hill overlooking the area where the old Thalassia district headquarters used to be.
First missionary come up here. And come building this like absolutely and stop. Okay. Come even when I'm Second World War II I'm behind. Absolutely sana pasti me. Na bomb blong all time lo war ya. I'm come bakarapin this la front blong ini. This la upside down. Then only pitching back in and stop. Now I'm buruk kalau stop.
It was built in the 1930s when Catholic priests settled in Thalassia. 80 years on and the building is still standing with little maintenance work done to preserve the building. Inside the church, the louver blades look old and rusty. 3/4 of the ceiling has deteriorated, leaving the roof visible.
So mi play kalau panim na bottle way belong how mi play basensin di selau sulu tu. Mi play na saya how ba mi play sensin.
This building holds a lot of significance for the people of Thalassia Rural LLG, and the locals are now calling on Catholic leaders to assist in renovating the church building. Tekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
The Japanese government's grants assistance programs funded under the Japanese International Cooperation Assistance, or JICA, has gone toward infrastructure development and enhancing health and education in West New Britain province. Japanese Ambassador Takashi Nakajima visited JICA's volunteer activity site this week and witnessed some of JICA's successful projects implemented within the province. Eric Harupma with this report.
2 schools in West New Britain province, St. Joseph Ruango Primary and Hela Primary School, were recipient of JICA's Japanese Overseas Cooperation Volunteers Program and Japan's Assistance for Grassroots Human Security Project. Hela Primary, a recipient of Japan's Assistance for Grassroots Human Security Project Fund, which was used to rehabilitate the school's infrastructure. St. Joseph Ruango Primary School held a health workshop which educated students on infection control against malaria through Japanese Overseas Cooperation Volunteers Program. Japanese Ambassador Takashi Nakajima and Japanese International Cooperation Assistance Chief Representative Takashi Toyama, West New Britain Governor Sasindran Mutuvel, and delegates received a rousing welcome by traditional dancers as they arrived at St. Joseph Ruango Primary School. Head teacher Peter Sino thanked the Japanese government for choosing this school. Mr. Nakajima, speaking during the event, said for the past 37 years, the relationship between Japan and PNG has grown steadily because of JICA volunteer activities like this.
Since 1980, the JICA volunteers have started to work in Papua New Guinea in many areas, such as agriculture, health, education, and community development. Now we have 33 Japanese volunteers in Papua New Guinea, and 1/3 of the volunteers are working in Western New Britain province here.
Head teacher for Hela Primary School, Alex Nara, acknowledged Japan's assistance which saw the construction of a new classroom and renovation of another at a tune of 232,000 kina. Mr. Nakajima, officiating at the classroom opening, congratulated the school's administration and urged them to look after these facilities for many years as a symbol of friendship between Japan and Hela Primary School.
We have a long relationship with the JICA team and also the Japanese embassy, and they have not just only assisted our bridge program, but they have also assisted under small grassroots program, various schools in the province, especially our Hela Primary School, to have a 4-in-1 classroom. And I'm sure Ruango will follow on that step.
Eric Arupma, National EMTV News.
Lucy George, better known on the street as Mama Lucy, is a moneylender or market money mama. Mama Lucy says she makes close to 2,000 kina a week from this trade. She recently spoke to EMTV News about her business and how she helps people. Bethany Herman with this story.
We first heard about Mama Lucy from people who she helped with cash. She has a spot at Boroko where she sells cigarettes.
So our customer from your can plenty lilik now kissing. These are making big money lilik. Some 350 or 320 or kind of thing. Our customer no visit Thomas Lomi, Mr. Eximosem. 200 kina, 250 kind of thing.
Mama Lucy is a shrewd businesswoman. She makes more than most people working on an 8-to-5 job. But that's not where it stops. She also lends money to a loyal and trusted customer base, and she makes a lot of money.
Now Mr. marketing money too. Now Mr. selling lily coins, or some more customer from me, or good or come, or helping me. Now Mr. helping more. Now Mr. say I want them all, or send Mr. staff there.
In a day, she sees about 5 people who ask for between 100 to 1,000 kina.
I am 50%. This is staff thing.
The repayment date is flexible, and unlike the banks and financial institutions, the paying back terms are lenient.
Most sample coins, Mr. giving more. Also talking me also. Mama, me plug at heavy. Now you buy got this like I know some big plan money legal on me plug. And Mr. helping more. Now also you see me go, the sample time also me go asking more on top. Mama, me plan pull up, baby, and by me come to you.
For Mama Lucy, it is more than just lending money. It is listening to the problems of her customers and trying to help them live their lives. Bethany Harriman, National EMTV News.
You're watching National EMTV News. When we come back, we have stories on dolphins dying along the south coast of Britain and what to expect at the world's next International Chocolate Festival in Portugal. Don't go away. Welcome back to the news. Turning overseas now, and marine experts in the UK are investigating a sudden and unexplained rise in the number of dolphins found washed up across the southern coast of Britain.
More than 100 dolphins have been found dead already this year by fishermen off the coast and on beaches. In Cornwall alone, 124 dolphins were discovered on the county's shoreline in the first 2 months of this year. That compares to 36 for the same period last year.
I think one thing's for sure, that fishermen throughout the southwest are certainly reporting seeing more dolphins around. So there definitely seems to be more of the creatures around. The reason for the spike in the last 12 months or so is a bit of a mystery. Fishing activity has remained constant. If anything, it's fallen, and yet we're seeing more dolphins come ashore. So whether or not it's the increase in population just leading to a few more, whether it's some other factor, Ministry of Defence, sonar activity, that sort of thing, but it's a bit of a mystery.
There is some speculation that there has been a growth in dolphin numbers.
We have had a huge spike. We've had well over 110 now since the beginning of January 2017, and that's almost our sort of average for a whole year in those first 6-7 weeks of this year alone, and that's an unprecedented number this year. We've historically had more strandings over the winter period. The last 5 or 6 years, that's tended to ease off, and we're seeing them spread throughout the year a lot more. But normally, January, February, March time, we would see 30, 40, 50 animals, not the 100 plus that we've had recently.
Neville Choi, EMTV World News.
On a lighter note, the 15th edition of the International Chocolate Festival is being celebrated in Barbados, Portugal. Just as chocolate is loved universally, this year the festival celebrates another universal love, music.
This year, both chocolate and music come together at the International Chocolate Festival. The festival being hosted in Barbados, the oldest and most prestigious chocolate festival held in Portugal. It also establishes other bridges with realities where the culture of chocolate and cocoa take on a special preponderance in the life of certain countries and populations. In this event, it is possible to taste chocolate from different latitudes and longitudes of the globe, as well as find the most recognized brands or the most distinguished artisans in the art of chocolate procession. Michael Jackson, Tina Turner, James Brown, Madonna, and Bob Dylan are some of the chocolate sculptures carved this year by a team of chocolatiers. Neville Choi, EMTV World News.
Opponents of South Korea's ousted former president Park Geun-hye rallied in Seoul yesterday and demanded her arrest. Supporters of Park Geun-hye also held an event to decry her removal.
Her opponents rallied in Seoul on Saturday, many to demand her arrest. This comes after a court on Friday upheld her impeachment over a corruption scandal. An election to decide her successor is set to be held within 60 days. And Seoul's ties with China, the U.S., and North Korea all hang in the balance. Pyongyang has already reacted. According to state media, a North Korean official called Park's removal a historic victory for South Koreans.
Turkey has sealed off a Dutch embassy in Ankara for security reasons over an escalating diplomatic row. It began when the Netherlands barred a plane carrying the Turkish foreign minister from landing.
Later that day, Dutch police also blocked Turkey's family affairs minister from the Turkish consulate. Turkey responded by sealing off the Dutch embassy in Ankara and said the Dutch ambassador should not return to Turkey for some time. The Turkish foreign minister says the actions by the Dutch government are unacceptable.
Şimdi Hollanda'nın aldığı bu karar
This decision is a scandal by all means, and it is unacceptable. This does not suit diplomatic practices. This is the most extreme point in diplomacy. A written flight permission issued to a foreign minister is canceled with another written document. This is completely unacceptable.
Dutch far-right leader Geert Wilders tweeted about the Turkish family affairs minister saying, "Go away and never come back, and take all your Turkish fans from the Netherlands with you, please."
The United Nations says 20 million people desperately need food in Yemen, Kenya, Somalia, and South Sudan. The organization is warning of a massive famine and the worst humanitarian crisis in decades.
Calling the situation inside Yemen, South Sudan, Somalia, and Kenya the worst humanitarian crisis in decades. An estimated 20 million people could die without assistance. Here's how one UN official explains the emergency.
We stand at a critical point in our history. Already at the beginning of the year, we are facing the largest humanitarian crisis since the creation of the United Nations. Now, more than 20 million people across 4 countries face starvation and famine. Without collective and coordinated global efforts, people will simply starve to death.
Syrian authorities are trying to establish who is responsible for yesterday's twin explosion which killed dozens of Iraqi Shiite pilgrims in Damascus.
The attacks happened at one of the oldest and largest cemeteries in Syria. The Syrian government called the bombings cowardly and is urging the UN to condemn them. More now from CNN's Ben Wiedemann.
The twin suicide bombers left more than 40 people dead, around 120 wounded. It turns out most of the victims were Iraqi pilgrims going to Shia shrines in a cemetery in the old city of Damascus. Now, it's not clear at this point who was behind these bombings, but given the identity, the nationality of the victims, and also the location of the attack, it's more than likely that the attackers were indeed from ISIS. Meanwhile, Syrian President Bashar al-Assad gave an interview to Chinese journalists in which he said that he and President Donald Trump share a common view when it comes to fighting terrorism and fake news. He also went on to say that American troops in Syria, there without the permission of the government in Damascus, are considered to be invaders. That doesn't necessarily mean that the Syrian government is going to do anything about it. Syria, backed by Russia, Hezbollah, and Iran, as well as the United States, which is backing Arab and Kurdish fighters, as well as Turkey, which is backing factions of the Free Syrian Army, all say they want to take part in the liberation of the de facto capital of ISIS in Syria, Raqqa. How that's going to work out is anybody's guess.
Here with Sunday's news, Trukai Sports is up next. Toea Wisil setting a new national record and the result of the SPPNG Hunters' first home game this afternoon.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. PNG's very own Hebo PNG Baramandi's captain Asad Vala was at the forefront of the Galaxy Gladiators' Lantau maiden 8-wicket victory in the DTC Hong Kong T20 Blitz against Hong Kong Island on Friday. Vala took out 2 wickets that helped the Gladiators bring the victory home. Outside of his comfort zone and without a bat, PNG's leading batsman Vala was not as bad at bowling as the first partnership of the top order was taken out by 2 impressive bowls from himself. The tournament is amidst its finals and should be completed within a few hours' time. The road to FIFA 2018 Russia World Cup has already begun, and PNG men's national football team will go head-to-head with Tahiti later this month. While the players are in preparations, devoted organizations such as the Supporters Club is rallying financial support as well as spending some considerable time and resources to support the national team.
The Supporters Club is an official fan club that has been behind the PNG men's national football team for quite a while. Last year's OFC Nations Cup success is a testament of the effort put in by the organization, luring some of the biggest supporter organizations such as the national government through National Gaming Control Board that contributed both financially and in kind to the couple's Nations Cup campaign.
This time he strikes it, not far away.
NCD Governor Paul Spako presented a check of 35,000 kina last week.
Help the boys to make it happen, especially when we play Tahiti. Put mostly everybody 10 out, one team only. That's the couples at the back. Give them a big moral support, and it will put them over the, the line.
Chairman of the Supporters Club, Dr. Mio Komolong, says there are planned fundraising activities coming up and is encouraging the corporate houses to attend and contribute in any way they can.
Here we'll be having another fundraiser in 2 weeks' time, so we look forward to your support and to get the other corporate citizens in PNG to come contribute in our own ways. The team and the coach, PNGF, are doing their bit. We're calling on all supporters to come together and contribute in any way they can to support the team.
The organization's aim is to draw in as much support as possible, whilst treating the players as a valuable asset in the World Cup journey.
And FIFA, as we all know, has extended the numbers of their teams, so we have a chance to make it this time. And imagine Papua New Guinea, our flag, our boys playing on the world stage. That's something, will only come, a few times in our life. So we better come together, support the team, and get them home, get them to Moscow, come to the World Cup and make everybody proud.
Meanwhile, PNG's preparation is already underway, with 13 players already in camp, while the other 10 are expected to arrive during the week. PNG will face Tahiti in the OFC Stage 3 of the 2018 FIFA World Cup Russia qualifiers on the 23rd of this month at the Sir John Guy Stadium. Shane Soroya, National EMTV Sports.
To athletics, and Toea Wisil broke her own 200-meter national record for the second time this season in a high-quality race in Canberra today. Wisil came agonizingly close to the World Championship qualifying time of 23.10 as she led the field for 150 meters before she was edged out by Australia's Ella Nelson, who won the race in 23 seconds. Australia's top-ranked 400-meter runner, Morgan Mitchell, who came third in the race, made 23.44 seconds. Wisil's coach, Tony Fairweather, said he knew Wisil was in good shape and was delighted by her performance. Her focus now is towards the Australian National Championships in March. Wisil will take a 2-week break after the National Championships and train towards the Oceania Championships in Fiji. which offers her another chance to qualify for the World Championships before she departs for Europe in July. You're watching Trukai Sports. We'll have more after these messages.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. To Rugby Nines, the grand final of the Justin Chechenko Super Nines Cup saw Rovanama walk away with the cup and 20,000 kina in cash. The first runner-up, Mahuru Eagles, did not go away empty-handed. They got 10,000 kina in cash as well. The 40-team competition concluded this afternoon after 3 days of thrilling encounters on the park. The SPPNG Hunters beat the East Tigers 30 points to 20 this afternoon at the National Football Stadium. The Hunters led 18-0 at half-time, then the Tigers struck back with 3 tries in the second half, but it wasn't enough as the Hunters scored 2 more tries through Adex Wera and Israel Eliab to further their lead and secure their win. Hunters coach Michael Marum says despite the win, there were a lot of errors and they will be working on that before their next match. Tigers coach Scott Sipple also making the same remarks, adding it is always difficult playing the Hunters here at home.
First home game, so we still have a lot of mistakes in our game, and that's something we will really be working on for our next game and the upcoming game. So, but we can't take anything away from the boys. I think they fought right through to the end there. So, and again, just a tough match against us from the East Tigers boys. I think they played all throughout. We had a 18-point lead going into to the half time, but I think they came back really hard on us in that second half. So, yeah, and just again, both sides. I think there was a lot of errors, but in the second game, so can only go better from here.
We were still confident at half-time, 18-0. You know, I just said at half-time, if we control the football and put some scoreboard pressure on them, you know, it can go either way. First set of the second half, we make a break. Brody Croft, you know, runs downfield 60 metres, and if he holds onto the ball or hits Scotty Drinkwater on the inside, we could have scored probably off the first set under the post. So, look, we just, again, dropped too much ball. So if we can control the pill and get to our kick, you know, we're going to be a tough side to beat. So, and we were very physical, I thought. We definitely aimed up in the middle there. And the PNG boys are very strong. They come through the middle. They were a quick start of the game. We knew that. So they got the jump on us and got the points.
To the NRL, Greg Inglis will be out for the rest of the season after suffering from an anterior cruciate ligament. He sustained the injury during their round 1 clash against the West Tigers.
A sad day for Rabbitohs fans as Greg Inglis was advised by the medical team that he will be out for the rest of the NRL season. South Sydney Rabbitohs coach Michael Maguire has admitted it was his fault keeping him on the field for almost 50 minutes. Inglis injured himself in an attempt to tackle Tigers fullback James Tedesco in the 8th minute. He was forced to play on when he managed to limp across the try line just before half-time. Tigers captain Aaron Woods says he was surprised to see Inglis back on the field after half-time.
We did attack it. It could have maybe blew out the whole knee. So, and you know, he's a future immortal.
Tigers players came out clear saying though they saw Inglis in an unstable condition on the field, they never thought of taking advantage of him, but to take it easy on the superstar.
We didn't really see a point in having a go at him. You know, he was pretty vulnerable out there. I actually felt sorry for him.
Inglis will be going in for surgery tomorrow, and Sam Burgess will take over the captain duties this weekend when they take on the Sea Eagles. Elijah Levet, National EMTV Sports.
And that's a wrap on Trukai Sports. Up next, your weather details for the next 24 hours.
Trukai Sports.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
A look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours in the southern region, Port Moresby and Daru. Showers and thunderstorms, showers in Kerma, showers tonight for Alotau, and a shower or two in Popondetta. To the Momasa region, showers tonight for Lae and Madang, rain and showers in Wau, a shower or two for Wewak and Vanimo. To the New Guinea Islands region, showers in Lorengau, morning showers for Kavieng, showers this evening for Kokopo and Rabaul, some showers in Kimbe as well, and a shower or two in Buka. And in the Highlands region, Mount Hagen, Goroka, Kundiawa, Mendi and Wabeg, all these major centers can expect some showers with morning fog. A look at the forecast for small ships for the next 24 hours. All coastal waters of Papua New Guinea, seas 0.5 to 1.3 meters. And a look at the ocean forecast for PNG areas. Coral Seas, seas slight with northwesterly winds at 10 to 15 knots. Solomon Seas, seas slight with northeast to northwesterly winds at 10 to 15 knots. Bismarck Sea, seas slight with northwesterly winds at 10 to 15 knots. And Pacific Ocean, seas slight with northeast to northwesterly winds at 10 to 15 knots.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
Now, before we go, Papua New Guinea is seeing an increase in the modeling profession as more women are participating in local fashion runways. This year, over 10 young women have registered to compete for the Miss World Supermodel PNG title. This competition will give 2 successful frontrunners the opportunity to represent PNG at the Miss World Supermodel pageant.
These young women and girls will be vying for the titles of World Supermodel and World Teen PNG Supermodel. The World Supermodel PNG franchise will host its second local competition at the Lamano Gold Club in May. This competition creates an avenue for young women to live out their dreams of becoming models and also representing PNG at the world stage.
The pageant looks for a supermodel, someone who has that quality to walk on a runway, to transcend from the Pacific to an international stage. So we have 2 categories within the pageant. One's a teen and one's an adult. So the good thing about the pageant is we get to take 2 girls to where the host city is. So this year it's in China, in Macau. It's been quite a journey, but it's been really worthwhile. We've managed to work with quite a few young women who've come through the pageant and through our programs, because we run programs about health and beauty and makeup and fashion. And we're not just a pageant, we actually provide economic opportunities. So
last week, the local competition organizers unveiled the 2 crowns that will be presented at the crowning night. The PNG-inspired pieces were created by PNG-based jeweler Jules Collins. They are made from a combination of best metals, sterling silver, Swarovski crystals, and cubic zirconia.
I wanted to do something which was very, I think, authentic to a beautiful crown for a competition, but of course it had to have a PNG element as well, so they're literally crowned with a beautiful bird of paradise on the very top of them.
The competition also creates a platform for local aspiring designers to showcase their designs. Meanwhile, PNG is among 40 countries that compete in the Miss World Supermodel pageant annually. Merlin Daukatam, National EMTV News.
Now finally, before we go, a quick recap of our main stories tonight. Hela province promoting the Hela Wigman, more PNG writers emerging, and Toea Wisil records new national record. And that's the way it is this Sunday, the 12th of March 2017. Stay tuned for Vocal Fusion up next with Talk Pixa after that. On behalf of the EMTV News team, have a pleasant working week. Good night.